Hello everyone, it's me, Ellie, from The Last of Us Part 2. Right now you're probably thinking, Ellie, you look incredible. What's your secret? Thanks, but that's not why I'm here. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the #1 deadliest threat to human life in the zombie apocalypse. Golf clubs. As we all know, the golf club is the deadliest weapon on the planet. You never know when a golf club might pop up, which is why it's critical that we all know the 3 key steps to golf club safety. Step number 1, never give your golf club to the angriest person in the room. Fail this step, and you're gonna have a bad time. Step 2, when handling your golf club, make sure that the only object that you swing at is a golf ball. You'd be surprised by the number of people that mess this step up. And step 3, the most important rule to golf club safety, always wear a helmet. Trust me, you'll thank me later. Thank you for watching this PSA on golf club safety. My name is Ellie, and remember, not every story is equal, especially if it's a sequel. Alright, so I finally just now beat The Last of Us Part 2. And man oh man, did it take a while.
What year is it?
I looked it up on Google and it says that the game should take a normal person anywhere from 25 to 30 hours to beat. But according to my save file, I am not a normal person. It took me 42 hours to beat this game. It completely blew through my entire weekend. And I chalk it all up to 2 valid reasons. Number 1, I suck. Reason number 2, I went through every nook and cranny, baby. I read every single letter. I upgraded every single gun. I found every single collectible. I opened every single safe. I absorbed every single thing that this game had to offer. And by the time I reached the end of my journey and the credits rolled in, I sat on the couch and thought to myself, man.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
So I whip out my phone and look up reviews on YouTube to see all the nice things that people had to say about it. Come to find out, people weren't nice at all.
Playing The Last of Us 2 was a pretty miserable experience, and I would have enjoyed my weekend more had I spent it teasing out my bum hairs with pliers.
I'll give it a fucking 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 for the simple fact that it ran.
The Last of Us 2, there's a certain expectation that you have to deliver on here, and I think it very much falls flat on that.
Look how many zeros you're getting. 0, 0, 0, 0, it's insane.
The game is intentionally attempting to blindside fans of the series with a brutally miserable narrative.
And all the new characters that I like in this game are dead and gone and broken.
People absolutely hate what Naughty Dog has done. More and more people are coming over to the side of saying F Naughty Dog, F Naughty Dog.
F Naughty Dog.
As you can tell from that montage of hate, The Last of Us Part 2 is a little controversial, which raises the question, why do people hate this game? Well, to put it simply, it's complicated. The most obvious source of the hate stems from the game's controversial story. Now, the critics absolutely love the story.
But the story is where The Last of Us sets a new bar, and I simply can't recommend it enough.
But it turns out the fans didn't agree. But it's not just the game's story. People are upset about all sorts of things with this game, like the fake E3 trailers, or the story leaks, or the review embargoes, or the layoffs, or the crunch. It's all there. What makes this so interesting is that games critics are all showering it with 10 out of 10 reviews and using big flashy words like masterpiece, or pinnacle, or perfect.
Fine, I get that, but you're wrong and I hate you.
To counterbalance the positive critic score, Part 2 got meta-bombed with thousands of 0 out of 10 user reviews within the first 36 hours of the game's launch, which marked the game with one of the most divisive critic user scores ever seen on Metacritic. In response, Metacritic was forced to issue out a new policy that prohibited users from leaving a review in the first 36 hours of the game's launch. So now if you try to leave a review before the time window, you'll be met with the following burn. Please spend some time playing the game. But the drama doesn't stop at Metacritic. Just about every video on YouTube talking about this game, good or bad, is getting tanked with dislikes. Part 2 has become a minefield of controversy, where it feels like no matter what someone likes about the game, someone else hates it for the exact same reason. There is a lot to talk about with The Last of Us Part 2, and in this video we are busting open all of it. So to help you navigate this crazy long video, I put timestamps down in the description so you can skip to whatever topic you want to hear me talk about. It's also there to help avoid spoilers for those who give a spit. But before we jump into spoiler territory, let's talk about a few of the things that this game knocked out of the park. You can say what you want about The Last of Us Part 2, but I think that we can all agree that this game is drop-dead gorgeous. Naughty Dog has always been on the cutting edge of top-tier AAA graphics, and The Last of Us Part 2 is their most visually impressive game to date. With the returning cast of Troy Baker as Joel and Ashley Johnson as Ellie, along with state-of-the-art motion capture technology, Naughty Dog continues to craft some of the most lifelike facial animations in the industry, with certain cutscenes in the game that blur the line between animation and real life.
This is the most advanced character model we've ever created.
So pretty.
All of the artists who worked on this game deserve a big pat on the back. The landscapes, the set pieces, the shadows, the lighting, even the flesh-eating zombies are beautiful. Damn, girl, you looking like a snack. Oh, come on! To highlight the sheer amount of detail and polish that went into this game, here's a list of super impressive details that were completely unnecessary. Ellie looks over her shoulder when she walks up steps backwards. Wow. The snow falls off the trees when you bump into it. Thin ice shatters when you walk on it. Realistic blood and brain splatter. Realistic gunshot reverbs. Melee swings can knock dudes' teeth out. Bruh. Enemies will pull you out of hiding spots. Gotcha. Come here. Warm blood will melt snow. Look at that. That's gross. People don't like it when you shine a light in their eyes.
I can't believe you've done this.
And my personal favorite, you can slide down the railing at the aquarium.
Attention all units. Suspect seen heading.
Personally, I'm a big sucker for detail, and this game sure has a lot of it. I don't think I've ever seen a video game this visually polished. Everything about this game just drips money. It feels expensive and drives like an Italian sports car. And based off the sound coming from my PS4, the game truly stretches the hardware to its absolute limit. Okay, let me just go ahead and get this out of the way right now. I did not like the gameplay from the first Last of Us.
What? What the fuck?
Now don't get me wrong, the story was awesome, but the gameplay was really repetitive and kinda boring. Combat and traversal options were so limited back then that you basically had no choice but to stealth your way through the entire thing. I much prefer the big spectacle battles that you see in Uncharted 4, where Nathan Drake is basically Tom Cruise and you do all sorts of cool shit, like swing from a grapple hook and punch people in the face, which is way more fun than the slow, calculated approach of the first Last of Us, where the most dynamic gameplay option is throwing a brick. But in Part 2, the game takes the combat from the first game and deepens it with more variety and playstyle options that keep the game's encounters fresh and exciting. Whether you push in smart and stealthy or dumb and stupid, the scope of the battlefields are great for both, and each battlefield offers enough room to get creative when moving through it. There are cars you can hide under, small gaps you can squeeze through, roofs you can climb on. All these little things give the player a tactical advantage over the enemy, and you're gonna need every advantage you can get, because the enemies in this game are actually smart. Except for that one. Naughty Dog has made some really cool improvements to the AI, giving them realistic actions that make them feel like actual people. They actually trade watch points and communicate with each other in battle. These turds will even tattle on you if you run out of ammo.
She's out!
That's what you get for snitching. And with how scarce ammo is throughout the game, every encounter felt like a life or death situation, especially when you have guard dogs sniffing down your scent. Naughty Dog introduced guard dogs into the game to help shake up the enemy variety. These little cuties hunt you down by tracking your smell so they can use your face like a chew toy.
Stupid dog! You made me look bad!
And in order to avoid that from happening, the game asks you to do one tiny little thing.
The CIA would love it if you two could take him out.
Hmm?
A lot of people were really pissed by the fact that the game gives you no choice but to fight dogs. And trust me, I get it. Nobody wants to fight a dog. Dogs are dope. But if it makes you feel any better, Naughty Dog only makes you fight the naughty dogs, so technically it's okay.
Yep, I'm going to hell.
But dogs aren't the only enemy that you have to put down. Part 2 introduces a few new infected types as well. My favorite being the Shambler, or as I like to call him, the Fart Zombie.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? Yeah, alright, one chalupa coming up.
But hilarious fart jokes aside, this game is not made for kids. Part 2 is a bloody, dirty, disgusting mess. And I mean that in the best possible way. This game features some of the most brutal combat animations I've ever seen in a video game. Not because of over-the-top gore seen in games like Doom Eternal and Gears of War, but because Naughty Dog set out to make the violence as realistic as possible. Melee swings now connect with a devastating crunch, and stealth takedowns can be hard to watch with how the camera swings around to show the final gasp of your victims, and the body dismemberment has been so painstakingly detailed that it's borderline disgusting. There is an absurd amount of violence in Part 2, so much so that by the end of the game I had grown completely numb to it.
Must feed on the blood of my enemies.
Oh, that's just disgusting.
And if the blood wasn't enough, the violence is even further amplified by the voice actors who let out some gut-ripping death cries.
Alright, we'll call it a draw.
Throughout the game, you'll be collecting screws and bolts to make new upgrades for your gear. That's where the new workbench system comes in. Not only is the workbench great for pimping out your guns, but it also serves as a welcome pause from the action. Plus, each upgrade you make comes with its own lavishly detailed animation, and it's so sick. Everything has been masterfully polished, down to the sound the gun makes when it hits the table, which if you didn't know, is different every time. This is just so over the top, it blows my mind. They could have easily used the same sound every time, but they didn't, which means that there's someone over at Naughty Dog getting paid good money to do this all day.
Can I go home yet?
No, do it 300 more times.
Okay.
Now, if you ever played the first Last of Us, then you'll probably agree that the puzzles in that game sucked. Every single puzzle boiled down to doing one of 3 things. 1, move a crate. 2, move a ladder. And 3, move a pallet. Boom, puzzle.
We did it! We did it! We did it! Yay!
Now the crate makes a powerful return in the second game, along with a small cameo from the ladder, but this time around Naughty Dog has done away with the pallets and replaced it with 2 exciting new additions: cracking open dirty old safes and rope. Throughout your journey, you'll come across a ton of secret safes left behind by past survivors. Now these safes are optional, so you don't have to do them, but if you don't, then you'll miss out on some of the best loot in the game. Plus, 9 times out of 10, someone has the combo written down in the exact same room. You know, completely defeating the purpose of a safe.
If your brain was donated to science, science would return it.
And I hope you like rope, because in this game you're gonna be using a lot of it. Naughty Dog has proven time and time again that no other studio loves rope as much as they do. This game has the most realistic rope in any video game I've ever played. I mean, just look at that. That's some good looking rope. The rope is scattered all over the game, and when you find some, you have to figure out how to use it. And I love it. It's way more fun to swing on a rope than to climb up a ladder. I just wish the rope could have been around back in The Last of Us Part 1. But the only time that you see a rope in that game is when Joel sets foot in a booby trap.
I got you.
Damn it, Bill.
Which coincidentally, Ellie falls for the same exact thing.
Damn it, Bill.
The Last of Us Part 2 is not an easy game, so Naughty Dog set out to make the game as widely accessible as possible. Players now have the ability to make the game as simple or hard as they please, with the power to adjust almost every feature in the game. There's also the addition of high contrast mode for players with visibility issues, where the game color blocks all the players and loot on the map. Or for people not used to shooters who need a little more time to think and react, I'd like to introduce you to my good friend Slow Motion. Just one quick swipe on the touchpad and the the game slows down to a fight scene from The Matrix. And please excuse my French, but killing zombies in slow motion is fucking badass. But that's enough kissing Naughty Dog's butt for one day. Time to get serious.
Let's do this.
People aren't upset about the customization options or the graphics and all that other crap, because the only thing that Last of Us fans really care about is the game's story. After all, The Last of Us Part 1 is widely regarded as one of the best stories ever told in gaming, earning countless awards and resounding praise from both gamers and critics alike. That's what pushed the first game to sell over 17 million copies. I mean, we know the gameplay didn't do it. I'm a big fan of the story from the first game, and its cliffhanger ending has haunted my dreams ever since. And after all the hype and all the waiting, I can honestly say that this is not the sequel I expected. Five years after their dangerous journey across the post-pandemic United States, Ellie and Joel have settled down in Jackson, Wyoming. Living amongst a thriving community of survivors has allowed them peace and stability, despite the constant threats of the infected and other more desperate survivors. When a violent event disrupts the peace, Ellie embarks on a relentless journey to carry out justice and find closure. Now, I ripped that straight out of the PlayStation website. And if you've ever played the game, then I'm sure you'll agree that it's the most undercooked plot synopsis ever conceived. And for good reason. I'm going to keep the focus on the big narrative moments of the game, so if you haven't already played it and you don't want the story spoiled, then skip ahead to this time in the video. That's your warning. Spoilers in 3, 2, 1. So let's circle back to that PlayStation website and talk about that pesky violent event that disturbed the peace, which if you played the game, then you know actually means that Abby beats Joel to death with a golf club.
Oh my god! That went south so fast!
This is the inciting incident that sets the entire story in motion, and Naughty Dog sure tried their best to keep it a secret too, going as far as to alter scenes and trailers to throw people off the scent.
What the hell are you doing here?
You think I'd let you do this on your own?
What the hell are you doing here?
I think I'd let you do this on your own.
So that was a fucking lie.
Naughty Dog actually went out of their way to trick people into thinking that Joel was alive for the entire game, which last time I checked is false advertising.
Hey, you know who lives in this house? A big fat phony!
But ultimately, shapeshifting the story in the trailers came back to bite Naughty Dog in the ass, because 1 month before the game's launch, several videos leaked online showcasing cutscenes, gameplay, and important plot details, like Joel's death.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
So naturally, Naughty Dog started freaking the hell out and began issuing DMCA takedown strikes to any mention of the leaks. But alas, it was too late. And once the public caught wind that this new Abby chick beats Joel like a piñata, they were pissed. People started boycotting the game, canceling their pre-orders, even starting petitions demanding that Naughty Dog take the game back and rewrite the whole thing. Needless to say, people were losing their shit.
It was one of the worst days of my life when that leak happened, because it's like, I saw it happening in real time. Like, I saw when it hit YouTube, and then you just sit there and you're like, your fucking heart sinks. A few hours later, it's everywhere. And you're starting to get hate on every social media you're on. And soon that turns into death threats and anti-Semitic remarks. And they lose their shit, understandably. Understandably, they lose their shit. And then we just have to sit there for 2 months being like, there's more to it, but we can't say anything right now. That was hard. That was really fucking hard.
Before playing the game, I had heard about the leaks, but kept as far away from them as possible. And I'm glad I did, because if I went into the game knowing full well that Joel was about to die, it would have ruined the entire experience. When I played through the game, I had no idea that Joel was going to die. So when I watched it happen in glorious 4K detail, my jaw was on the floor. And the moment after that final swing, when Abby looks back over her shoulder and locks eyes with you, Ellie and I were on the same exact page. I don't know who this chick is, but I'm about to mess her up. But that's at the end of the game. First, you have to spend 3 days in a post-apocalyptic Seattle tracking her down, accompanied by a story told through flashbacks highlighting Ellie's worsening mental state. And the longer you play, the darker it gets. People don't smile in this game. Everyone in it is either sad, pregnant, or dead. That's it. If you were hoping for a game with a light at the end of the tunnel, then go play Barbie Horse Adventures. The Last of Us Part 2 isn't meant to be fun. It's meant to be a feeling and emotions game. But don't take it from me though. Even Neil Druckmann said, we don't use the word fun. Instead, they prefer the word engaging.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
And at the end of your 3 days, after you've seen and felt all the things, you finally reach the big climactic moment where Ellie and Abby face off in the theater with Tommy wounded, Jesse dead, and Ellie staring down the barrel of a gun. And then, just when you least expect it, boom! Welcome back to day 1, except now you get to play as Abby, the girl who killed Joel, for 10 straight hours.
Are you kidding me?
And when I hit this point of the game, I hated it. Not only do you lose all the gear and skill upgrades you've made for the past 3 days as Ellie, which completely sucked and made me feel like I wasted my time, but the pacing of the game completely fell apart and it left me jarred and confused. And apparently, I'm not the only one who thought so.
My opinion so far, I really actually don't give a fuck about Abby, to be honest with you. At least not anywhere close to the extent of Ellie. They left this crazy cliffhanger from Ellie's storyline that I'm supposed to be leading up to, and I'm still thinking about Ellie's cliffhanger moment, and every second I'm playing this, it's just annoyingly holding me back from what I want to see.
Now, I'm not stupid, so I could tell what the game was trying to do. Naughty Dog wanted you to see that Abby and Ellie are similar in more ways than one. Switching to Abby is intended to make the player sympathize with her character, and show that her hunting down to kill Joel is the exact same cause and effect that pushes Ellie to hunt down and kill Abby. Both want revenge for losing their father, but all revenge does is repeat the cycle of violence. Now I can get on board with the whole revenge is bad lesson. That's not the issue. Where Naughty Dog fails in the execution is the order that the story is told. The story bounces back and forth throughout the entire game. It's like they were trying to create a more annoying version of Pulp Fiction. If the goal was to have the players sympathize with the villain, then this was a terrible first impression. And that remains the case for a lot of the people in Abby's story. Like Manny, Abby's best friend. Not only did he spit on Joel, but he also cut in line at the cafeteria and took 3 burritos instead of 1.
Why do you have 3?
You're a monster!
Or how about Owen, Abby's boy crush friend? Not only did he knock up the doctor, which is the last person you'd want pregnant in the apocalypse, but he later cheats on her with Abby in the most uncomfortable cutscene ever made. Which I obviously can't show you here, but trust me, it's gross. And when the game randomly drops those 2 Scar kids in the mix, the story then turns into a series of annoying, drawn-out fetch quests. Oh no, those deadly children are stuck and need help. Go fetch. Oh no, the cult girl's arm broke and the doctor's missing the tools to fix it. Go fetch. Oh no, the cult boy stole a boat to save his mom from the cult. Yep, there he goes. Go fetch. I hate these kids. Oh no, the dog wants to play fetch. Let's see how you like it.
That is so fetch.
Characters will often make choices that you don't agree with, and depending on who you are, it'll be difficult to turn your brain off and empathize with them.
Those fucking kids.
I had a hard time trying to crack why Abby felt so compelled to look after these 2 kids. Because what? They saved her life once? Okay. You know who else saved Abby's life? Joel! And look what happened to him. Maybe I missed a plot detail while playing, but regardless, Abby's section never did enough to win me over. Ellie's story felt airtight, while Abby's felt like it was just too many ideas in the air at once. Once Abby's story finally finds its way back to the theater, you now have to fight Ellie as Abby. Naturally, I did not want to do that, so instead, I did nothing, and made Abby bend over and take it. But the game won't let you do that, so you have to finish the fight. Luckily, Abby wimps out and doesn't actually kill anyone. Well, besides Jesse. But I guess no one really cared, seeing as how his name is never brought up again. Like everyone just agreed to pretend he never existed.
It's kind of fucked up you did that.
After the fight, the game fast forwards to Ellie and Dina living happily on the farm with newborn JJ. Now if you're like me, then you probably assumed that JJ stood for Jesse Jr., which would have made sense, but Neil Druckmann shattered that illusion with a tweet where he said that the second J in JJ does not stand for Junior. So I guess Dina and Ellie are big Jesse Jackson fans. I like how you get to see the happy ending that could have been with Ellie and Dina living on the farm. I mean, the setup they had is about as good as you can get in the zombie apocalypse. They had land, sheep, and each other. The only thing missing is the sweet taste of revenge. So Ellie leaves it all behind to go get some. And when she comes back home, it's all gone. Everything. Her girlfriend, Jesse Jackson, and her fingers. Although I found it interesting that Abby bit off 2 of Ellie's fingers, leaving her with just enough for part 3. The game's story really hit me in the final flashback, when I realized that Ellie wasn't just after Abby for killing Joel, but for taking away her chance to forgive him.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that.
Ellie was furious at Joel because she thought that he took away her chance to matter.
Don't you fucking touch me!
But the reason Joel saved Ellie is because her life mattered so much to him. Ellie was the only thing Joel had that was worth fighting for. That's exactly why Joel says,
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
And after all the pain and suffering of hunting Abby down, Ellie's left sitting in the water, broken, feeling more empty than ever before. Now she's forced to face her deepest, darkest fear.
Being by myself. I'm scared of ending up alone.
It's definitely not a happy ending. In fact, it's one of the saddest endings I've ever seen. But it's so symbolic of what The Last of Us is. The Last of Us. Ellie is the last one left, because The Last of Us has always been Ellie's story. Yes, you play as Joel in part 1, but Ellie was always the most important character. Joel is the guiding presence that was there to protect Ellie and teach her how to survive. And when he dies, Ellie is left to survive on her own. It's a lot like Telltale's Walking Dead. In the first game, you play as a rough guy named Lee, looking after an innocent girl named Clementine. And at the end, when Lee dies, Clementine takes the mantle for the rest of the series. It's a metaphorical passing of the torch, if you will. To some, Ellie took that torch and lit the story on fire. But for me, the ending left me excited to see where the story goes next, just like the ending of part 1 did.
Okay.
Do I think The Last of Us Part 2 is a perfect 10 out of 10 masterpiece of a game? No. But after beating it, I can honestly say that I have never wasted so much time just thinking about a video game in my entire life, which is exactly why I made this video in the first place. I wanted to let out all my thoughts on this game in explosive fashion so that my brain could finally have permission to stop thinking about it. The Last of Us Part 2 is not a perfect game, but it's an ambitious one with a lot of heart and a lot of balls. And if you haven't played it yet, it's worth your time and your money. Just make sure you wear your helmet. Boom! Bring her back in. Hello everyone, it's me, Ellie, from The Last of Us Part 2. Thank you for watching that video making fun of my tragic and painful story. We had a lot of laughs along the way, and I'm happy to say that it's finally over.
Ooh, you suck!
And with that, I pass the question off to you. What do you guys think? Did you like my video game? What was your favorite part? Do you think I deserve an Oscar? Or would that be too cliche? Whatever you think, let me know your nice, positive comments down below. And, oh yeah. Subscribe to 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐸𝐵. His videos are the best, and you should go watch All of them. My name is Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2, and I approve this message.
And cut. Great job, Ellie.
Alright, now give me back my fingers.